Lawmakers on Capitol Hill ended the 43-day stalemate on the spending bill that became official on Wednesday with President Trump's signature and effectively ending the longest government shutdown in history. Trump's speech before signing on the dotted line blamed Democrats for making Americans suffer. He thanked various groups, particularly Republicans, who quite frankly stood their ground through it all. Now, on Monday, 7 Democrats and 1 independent in the Senate caved on their votes without securing Democrats' key demand to extend Obamacare subsidies. Now, the Senate vote to fund the government through the end of January really set the bill into motion for the House to pass the bill on Wednesday. Here's reaction from Memphis Democrats, Congressman Steve Cohen, State Representative Justin Pearson, and then Republican State Senator Brent Taylor.
It's going to be an increased burden on people who have insurance and in people who are taxpayers. And there's going to be a difficulty for people that don't have insurance. Their health's going to suffer. And in time, a certain percentage of those people will die.
Tennessee has the most people with medical debt in the country, and that's going to increase because Republicans have allowed for these healthcare premiums to expire. And so I'm frustrated with a lot of my Democratic colleagues' decision to waver in this moment, and we have a responsibility to do what we can to try and protect people into the future.
And it's not just affordable care, the Affordable Care Act that's done it. There are a lot of programs that we're going to have to make some hard decisions in the next General Assembly, where all this ARPA money came to the state that funded a lot of now popular programs, that we're going to have to make the decision, are we going to now fund that with state dollars, or are we going to end the programs now that the federal dollars have dried up? And so those are some of the decisions we're going to have to make in the next General Assembly.
All right, so I want to open it up to Susan here. So Susan, those 7 Democrats and 1 independent, did they make the right decision, and how does this make the standing of the Democratic Party as a whole?
Well, I'm going to answer that after I correct the trailer that was on the screen just before us. Brent Taylor's a Republican, not a Democrat.
Yeah, we said Republican. He's the only Republican in that train of sound. Yes.
So I don't agree with it. I wish they hadn't caved, but I think they had no other choice. I think that they were up against Donald Trump, who lacks any kind of sympathy or empathy for the next person, and I think that he was going to it would go on, and it was time to stop the hemorrhaging and try to find some kind of future negotiation. They would not get Donald Trump to bend at all. And so what's the point? The planes weren't going to fly. People are hungry. SNAP benefits were gone. It would get only worse and worse.
Okay, that's a fair point. Now, Otis, the long game here for the Affordable Care Act or the Obamacare subsidies are Democrats, a lot of them are saying that they can't really trust Republicans with that after vote. Do you think that will happen to keep those premiums down?
Well, I think they have some right to say we don't trust here because of who the president is. I agree with Susan. They had no choice here. Somebody had to blink here, and obviously it was not going to be this president. And so what the Democrats got out of this was a campaign issue, and they're going to use it in 2026. Whether it's effective or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I just don't see that Republicans are going to suddenly decide, okay, we are going to go along with Democrats on the health care subsidies. I just don't see it. It's not in their nature. And I Brent he got 2 bites of the apple on this in the show as a result of that. I think Brent is right. That they're going to have to deal with this in the state legislature because I just don't see Congress doing anything.
Right.
Yeah, I'll leave the last for the conservative here at the table.
We mentioned Republicans fighting back last segment. Finally, Republicans held together. They were asking for a continuing resolution. They did not bend, and they won. The Democrats were clearly trying to use this as a political issue. In fact, the House Minority Whip out of Massachusetts, I think her name's Catherine Clark, said, this is one of only the few leverage pieces we have. And so it was clearly a political issue for them. I think it was wrong. They shut down the government for whatever it was, 41 days for a political issue, and Republicans held strong, and we appreciate it.
So you absolutely agree with Trump's narrative that this was always the Democrats' fault?
Of course, all we were asking for was a continuing resolution. What the deal that we offered before the government shutdown is the deal that the Democrats finally accepted at the end, and I think that's great.
Well,
Is that fair?
The fact is that if Trump was against Christmas, the Republicans would go along with it
That's
just
right.
because
That's
it's
Always Republicans caving on these kind of issues, and
They-
finally we
they
didn't
cave.
cave. I think
They
the
cave.
Republican
they
primary
cave to
voters are
Trump
very
is what I'm
pleased.
talking about.
yeah. Yeah. Bruce
Okay,
is right.
we'll leave that one there. When we come back, the task force arrests are ramping up, and we're going to take a look at how it's impacting the immigrant communities in our area.